Hi guys, you're tuned back into CarBuyer.com.sg once again. In front of us is one of the more unique vehicles that we have driven in 2019. This is the Nissan Serena E-Power, and it's unique for two reasons. Number one, it's a weirdly shaped Japanese MPV. Number two, the thing that drives its wheels are pretty unique as well. So let's get the MPV part out of the way first. Now this looks like your typical Japanese MPV. You're thinking, oh, it looks kind of like an Alphard, but it's not really like an Alphard. In fact, it's not really like anything at all. It's definitely larger than a Volkswagen Touran, for example, and it's also roughly the same size as an Odyssey lengthwise, but also not quite. So to give you an idea of the dimensions of this thing, it's pretty long. It's about 4.9 meters long, so it makes it slightly shorter than a BMW 5 Series, but it's also taller than a BMW X5. That's BMW's large SUV, so pretty damn tall. But if you go around the front, you realize it's actually quite narrow. So it's actually more narrow than the current 1 Series. So it's really, in terms of form factor, it's very tall, it's very narrow, but the wheelbase is very long as well. So it is quite unique in terms of footprint. Now the only car that was officially imported competitor to this was the Mazda Biante, and Mazda has discontinued its MPVs for the time being. So the Nissan Serena is pretty much the only car in its class for now. Let's take a look at the details. It's Nissan's V-Motion grille right there. Very big and a very typical Japanese styling. I mean, this definitely wouldn't look out of place in Tokyo. So there are sliding doors on the Serena. There is a automatic foot switch. I need to use my hands. These are the two captain seats that are more comfortable. They don't have footrests, but they're pretty spacious. We'll take a look at the third row after this. But let's just take a peek at the interior. So there's a table here, cup holders, everything. And also, as an MPV, you can move all the seats around to your liking. I can move this inward, I can move this outward. And these seats also recline all the way. And for the rear seats, you can flip them up and out of the way. They don't flip forward, but you can see how big and flat the floor is here, like a classic Japanese MPV. So okay, third row of the Serena, and it is surprisingly comfortable. I'm about 1.73 meters tall. I have space for my knees. Who left chopsticks here? Never mind. I have a aircon vent up here. There is an aircon vent for the people in front and for the people at the back as well. So pretty big. Plenty of headroom. A lot of headroom actually. I'll show you again in the front seat what that's like. So right now we're in the cabin of the Serena E-Power, and the first clue that you get that this is not your everyday garden variety MPV is the digital display. Now you have your speedometer on the right, digital speedo, very standard stuff for any Japanese car the past 10 years. But on the left is an information readout, and you can see a little battery icon there. So you might think, oh, this is a hybrid, but it's not a hybrid in the way the Toyota Prius is a hybrid. It's not a mild hybrid in the way that the let me see, Honda Insight was a mild hybrid. It's not a plug-in hybrid either. There's a battery, but you can't charge it. Actually, E-Power is Nissan's own totally new, well, not totally new, but it's totally new to Singapore. It's a totally new way of powering a hybrid vehicle. So underneath the bonnet in front of us is a 1.2 liter inline 3-cylinder engine from the Nissan Note. How much power that makes is irrelevant, because that engine does not drive the wheels at all. What it does is it powers the electrical battery pack and electric motor. So if I press this button here, it's called charge, you hear the engine come on. Here you go, you heard that? That's the inline 3. And you see here the display. Now we are charging our battery pack, and that's a 1.8 kilowatt battery pack, lithium ion, that's in the back of the car. And if I press quiet mode, that's like an EV mode in those Toyota hybrids. It quietens down. So obviously the car, shuffles through all this stuff for you. You don't actually have to think about it. There are 3 modes. Press drive mode button right here. So there's an eco mode, and there's a normal driving mode, and there's a smart mode. So let me see, look for this. Okay, so now we're in smart mode. You notice how the blue section that shows how much regeneration you're doing is extending all the way. So if we put it in normal mode, that part becomes shorter, because Smart and Eco mode use Nissan's one pedal driving technique that is seen in the Nissan Leaf and also the BMW i3. Okay, we are in the Nissan Serena E-Power. Let's start it up. Not absolute silence because the engine is on. I want to look through our... Oh, it just turned off again. There you go. I'm going to look through our energy flow meter. So right now the car is at a standstill. It's running off the battery. There is no sound. It's just the air conditioning running. And if I were to go off, it'll go off under the electric power. So the E motor has 136 horsepower with 320 Nm of torque. That's quite a lot. This car isn't small, as we've told you. It's about 1.75 tons. Okay, the engine just came back on. You can hear it. I am in the smart drive mode, so it's going to be one pedal driving. I'm not sure if you can see it from here, but if I put my foot off the gas, the car comes to a halt pretty quickly, and it doesn't go off again. I'm not on the gas, I'm not on the brakes, but I should press the brakes for safety. But just like the Nissan Leaf, which is a proper full EV, it drives, you know, in that EV way. So the motor will recuperate the energy and you'll come to a full stop instead of using the brakes all the time. It's a lot easier in town. So let's go off. Still under electric power. Oh, the engine just came on. Okay, let's give it a little bit of juice. Not bad, not bad. So you're probably wondering, instead of a normal hybrid, why go to the trouble of having an engine and an electric motor and a battery pack inside if the engine doesn't even do most of the heavy lifting? So the idea behind it is kind of like a scooter with a CVT or a normal car with a CVT engine. You want to keep the engine within its most efficient range all the time, regardless of how fast or how slow the actual car is moving. So when you do that, you get better fuel consumption in theory, and you pair it with the advantages of e-drive, which in this case means more torque, a quiet drive, and overall less emissions and better efficiency. So once you get used to the one pedal thing and the e-drive stuff, it drives pretty okay. I mean, as we said, this is a very tall car. It's tall, it's narrow, it looks like a, I don't know, like an office block on wheels almost. I mean, and you can see from the camera how much windscreen space I have. There's windows, windows, windows. I think this car has the biggest windows of any car I've driven in the past 5 years. It is huge. I can see everything around me. It's like driving an SUV in a way. I mean, I was driving next to a Toyota Wish just now, looking down at the person, and you can see that there's a BMW X5 in front of us, and we're pretty much as tall as him in terms of seating position. So it's very upright, very good for town, and it doesn't handle that well, honestly, because it's a tall vehicle. Oh, this lizard just got killed. Poor thing. It's a tall MPV, boxy MPV. You know, it's not particularly light, not particularly agile, and you obviously don't have the urge to drive fast in this. But what it does do very well is, you know, haul 7 people around the city exceptionally well. So cornering, not bad. You know, it's a bit of a roll, but it's pretty good. And we tried out the second row. We tried out the third row. The comfort is very, very good. It's decently refined. It's a bit of road noise. There's that 3-cylinder thrum that I mentioned just now. But overall, it's a pretty nice MPV. I think it's better that you treat it as a 6+1 because the rear seat, the middle seat is kind of hard to cram somebody in there. So 6 adults will fit with very good comfort. There's aircon in the second and third rows. The road here is pretty bad, so you can hear that thump, that MPV, and the big windows. There's a lot of a bit of a flex in the chassis and a bit of noise, but you know, around the town this car is excellent. Now my colleagues just drove it, I won't say who, so the fuel consumption just went up a little bit. And like a classic hybrid, out on the highway your fuel consumption isn't as good, so I'm getting about 6. We just came off the highway, but I find that as we drive around town it dips down to 5 point something. So that is pretty damn good for a car of this size, this shape, this weight. So I would say that Nissan's e-Power system does work, and people are catching on to it. I mean, in Japan, the E-Power Serena and the E-Power Note are both selling really well in the Japanese market. So this is Nissan's new technology. It's kind of like, I think it's their counter that they finally brought out. You know, they have something to match up against Toyota and Honda's hybrids. It's technology like this that will help it, you know, compete better against the rest of the Japanese. And to end off, this car now, it gets a VS rating of A2. The price actually has gone down because of that. It's been reclassified recently. I think it went from B to A2, so it gets a 10 grand discount. It's now $136,800 Singapore with COE, and you know, under 140 grand for a car of this much space, and with this decent fuel economy, that's a pretty attractive buy, and more than we can say for, you know, a lot of the Nissans of the past 5 years. So Nissan Serena E-Power, we have the review out on carbuyer.com.sg also, and stay tuned for more stuff from us. Bye.